My name's Dan Martin. I'm a freelance journalist and event host, content creator of all descriptions. So yeah, I've been a journalist writing about small businesses for 18 years actually, in various different companies. Until last year, I was a head of content at Enterprise Nation. I was there for 5 years, but I left in December to go freelance. Thought it was about time I became self-employed after writing about it for so long. And I moved into freelance, had various contracts, and then the coronavirus crisis hit. And ironically, I'm now back at Enterprise Nation, helping Enterprise Nation deliver all the business support that businesses are crying out for. My role is mainly around the support that the government is giving, so trying to sort of cut through the guidance and tell businesses how to access it. So yeah, I'm back at Enterprise Nation, which is a small business support organisation, and they're seeing a huge increase in traffic of businesses that are requiring, want information on both the support that the government is giving and maybe isn't giving, so gaps to fill, but also general business advice as well on, how to trade in these times. So I'm helping out in all those ways.
Very good. So obviously, a lot of your experience has been in putting events on and, talking to small businesses one-on-one. Businesses now, won't have that kind of face-to-face support. What for those businesses crying out for that, what can you offer? What kind of advice can you offer them?
I'd definitely say look into how you can stay connected. I mean, I think for a lot of small businesses that, in theory, they're used to working from home. A lot of them have been doing it for years. They start from home. But obviously, they have gone out. They've gone to co-working spaces. They've gone to cafes. They've gone to a lot of physical events, which, as we all know, we can no longer do. So I definitely look at how you can stay connected. So obviously, I would say, Enterprise Nation has been an events business. Big part of the business is events, and the company normally runs 300 odd events, physical events, all across the country throughout the year, and obviously can't do that anymore. But they pivoted into everything's now gone online, so it's now hundreds and hundreds of events online. We're doing daily webinars, daily, weekly, monthly meetups where you can meet up with businesses in your specific area. So I'd say to businesses is look for networks like that. So, Enterprise Nation is doing it, and all the events are currently free. None of them there's no charges for any of these events, but there's tons and tons of stuff happening, all over the web. All the business groups are doing it. For any business groups that you know of, I'd sort of look at, most of them have moved to like an online model, or if they didn't have events, they've added online events. And then I, use social media sort of to stay connected. I was watching a LinkedIn expert recently on a webinar that Enterprise Nation did, talking about how to use LinkedIn in these times. And she said what she's noticed is, interestingly, LinkedIn Messenger has actually become more active. So as in, private messaging through LinkedIn. But obviously everyone's at home now and everyone's up for a chat. And she's found that when she sent, messages to new contacts, she's found people are more up for a chat, have responded quicker. So I'd maybe look at LinkedIn Messenger as a place where you can connect with people. And I know what she said is what she does. She goes into a lot of LinkedIn groups, look who's in the group, and then connects with them, and then has private messages. I'm being invited for a lot of virtual Zoom coffees. A lot of that's happening. So I'd sort of look at ways, you can sort of stay connected. And I think people are even more open to conversations, even if they're, slightly salesy messages about, how you can work together in the future, because everybody, needs some help right now. So I'd sort of look at social media and make connections and, take the conversations off private and see how you can stay connected that way.
And what would you say to someone who's never been to like a virtual online meetup? Maybe people stigma around it, or say, what kind of advice can you give them?
I'd say don't be worried about it. I know what you mean. It can be, particularly if you've got video, you switch video on, people are, they're not used to it. It's a bit weird. I mean, all of these tools though offer you don't have to have video on, which I'd say if if you're really new to it,
something like that, don't we?
Yeah, you'd head into a Zoom call, and you don't want to put the video on. Don't put it on. Just go with the audio to start with. I don't think people would find that weird. What we're finding though is the the meetups are super friendly. Everyone is so up for giving advice at the moment. Like, you can make really nice connections and maybe just listen and, you know, not have to respond. There's also tons and tons of webinars, you know, with expert advice. So not necessarily, you know, you have to network with people. And as I said, Enterprise Nation's doing loads, all the business groups are doing loads. So maybe start with those where you don't actually have to speak, you just have to watch a person, and maybe you can send a message as a text chat. But I definitely get stuck in, because I do think, you know, one of the positives after all this, I do think, you know, there's going to be a lot more home working, potentially a lot more connecting online using all these tools that we now know about. So, you know, if you can get used to them now, they could potentially benefit your business in the future.
Yeah, and then so, you know, small businesses with customers, kind of, how should they be communicating? Should they be doing more, telling their customers about how they're adapting their business, or just stay in normal contact as they would? What sorts of things could they be doing?
I think it depends. I suppose it depends on the business in a way, because obviously, you know, if you're a food business that's now switched to delivery, or you're any sort of business that's, you know, switched the way you're operating, you know, you were a physical shop and you now want people to come to your website, I'd definitely say communicate that, push that out as much as possible. Don't overwhelm them, but I think customers, you know, particularly regular customers, want to know how you're doing and they want to support. You know, where people can, there's a massive push for, you know, support small at the moment, support the small businesses, both, you know, physical consumer products and sort of B2B services as well. So I'd definitely communicate it if you can, you know, just be super simple. Don't go over the top. Just tell it like it is. And if you have switched to a new service, I'd communicate that. In our world, the business support world, we've actually increased communication. So we found we're actually now doing daily emails, very short, snappy updates every day, because we found that businesses are craving information. So in the support world, if you're in that world, if you're a B2B support provider of any description, lawyer, accountant, marketer, maybe use this time to, you know, send out short, snappy tips to how your customers can get through this. Because we're finding businesses are demanding information at the moment, but they want it short and snappy and, you know, cuts through the confusion. And then if you're a consumer business, yeah, I'd communicate it, let them know you're still trading, offer them ways to support, but think about maybe not so salesy ways. Think about other things you can send, because, you know, I've found people like, you know, this is more big businesses, but, you know, cinema chains. I'm still on like Odeon's mailing list, and obviously you can't go to Odeon right now, but they're sending out a weekly email with, you know, inspiration for how you can dress like your favorite movie star, videos from YouTube, you know, sort of think of content around your business that's maybe relevant. You know, museums are doing a lot, how you can do virtual tours of the museum. So maybe think of content that you can send your customers so that you stay in their minds, in their inbox, even if they can't actually buy from you right now.
And what movie character did you go for?
I haven't done that. I don't know. Yeah, I should have brought that up. I haven't done any of these. Must admit, I know there's a lot of dressing up, isn't there, on Zoom? You know, lots of quizzes where you can dress up and wear funny hats. I've not yet done that. But, you know, if that's your thing, do that.
That pivots quite nicely into your situation. So I imagine you've been working from home or from, you know, outside of an office for quite some time now.
Yeah.
Obviously, for some people, it's going to be, you know, quite new, and still probably getting to grips with it. Something GoDaddy's been talking about is routine a lot, and I imagine that's going to be a big part of how to get through.
Thank you, guys.
This situation.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
It's hugely important. So yeah, I've been working at home for like 6-7 years now. So obviously for me, that hasn't been a big thing. But I still had to get used to it back six years ago. So I'd say if this is new to you, it would definitely be a good thing to start, you know, try and establish a routine, particularly right now, because it's such strange times that you can't go outside so much. You can't like leave the house so much for meetings. So if you're a person that, you know, needs structure, I'd say, you know, to-do lists are good. If you're working on your own, you know, it's just literally writing down a list at the start of the day of things you need to achieve. And I've, you know, heard some good tips about start with some simple things. So some simple things you can do at the start the day that you can achieve, you know, some simple tasks that you can achieve. So you started the day on a sort of positive thing and you feel like you've achieved something positive. But yeah, throughout the day, don't get too hung up on sticking to that, you know, to-do list, but have a bit of structure. Taking breaks is hugely important when working from home. You can so easily just be at your desk, you know, 5 o'clock and you're not had any lunch. So take regular breaks throughout the day. If you live with other people, which I do, I live with my partner and our daughter, so we're trying to have like lunch, you know, together every day. So if you've got other people in the house, you know, meet for lunch. So you know you've got a sort of structure of lunch, or take a walk. Your 1 hour a day exercise. Use that maybe at lunchtime. And although I'm big advocate of social media, is don't get too focused on it, particularly some of the news right now, you know, you don't want to follow. So don't get sort of sucked up in being on social media constantly, because that can definitely interrupt your routine. Is maybe have set points in the day where you check social media, and maybe use this time if you can, you know, particularly if you're in the situation that you're furloughed or your business is, you know, temporarily not trading, maybe focus on some non-essential tasks, you know, build your email list, catch up on your website design that you need to do, that thing you've always wanted to do but you've never got around to, making connections on LinkedIn. So maybe make that part of your routine, and try and have staying connected as part of your routine. So if you can have calls like this, Zoom calls, you know, with colleagues, if you've got them, and connections, try and make that part of your day, or at least part of your week.
And I imagine there's going to be, you know, lots of people who are managing staff remotely for probably the first time. I mean, how do you like to be managed when remotely, and any, you know, how can business owners kind of stay in touch with their staff, not just their customers, but the staff that actually they employ?
Yeah, I mean, now I've gone freelance, you know, I'm my own boss now, but back to the days when I was, although I'm now working back at Enterprise Nation, so I'm part of a team again, but I'd say use the tools. That there's tons of tools, and actually right now, if it can be a positive of this crisis, is so many organizations have made things free. You know, they've extended their free trials. So this is a good chance to use all these brilliant tools that you used to have to pay for. So Microsoft have made Teams free, for instance. You know, there's Slack I think you can use. There's Basecamp, Trello, all of these like communication tools. Something like Teams and Slack in particular is good because it's got a chat feature. You can run meetings through it. So we use Teams. So I've been using Teams a lot, and that's a good way to sort of, you know, chat to specific team members, have different content that you need, different meetings, different spreadsheets that you need to upload that everybody can access. And as I said, that tool's free at the moment. But if managing staff is new to you, like remotely, I'd say you need to trust them. Like, don't be on their backs constantly, you know, every 10 minutes checking what they're doing. There was a bit of a viral thing that went around on social media at the start of all this. I think it was one of the US newspapers. Their guidelines to remote workers got leaked. And it said something like, you know, your phone must be on at all times, never put it on silent. If someone chats to you, you must respond within 2 minutes. You know, trust people, you know, like you would have trusted them in the office. You wouldn't be checking them constantly, you know, trust them in remotely as well. But, you know, check in. We have, like, Enterprise Nation has run monthly meetup, monthly team meets. We're now doing those on Zoom once a month. So, you know, what you did, you know, the technology does allow you now to have, you know, what you were doing, you can, you know, take that virtually. But I'd say look out, yeah, definitely track down all the free tools that are now out there to stay connected to your team.
Yeah, nice. And in terms of meetups and events, I know you touched on it at the beginning, but you know, what are the best ones, and what ones would you recommend for business owners?
Obviously, all the Enterprise Nation ones. I won't play it too much, but I'll just briefly on those. We're running like educational webinars, which is giving advice. But the meetups, Enterprise Nation's got an initiative called Local Leaders. So I'm actually the local leader for Bristol. So we're independent, mostly B2B advisors of some description who volunteer to run meetups in our area for local businesses. We normally obviously do them physically. So I normally do them in a local coffee shop. I get a group of business owners together. they can present a challenge for 10 minutes and then the group tries to solve that challenge. We've taken all of those online now, so they're once a month, and they're all over the place, all over England, Scotland, Wales, I think. And it's just a way where you can meet fellow entrepreneurs in your area. Obviously, the challenges at the moment are very, very common with what's going on, but you can present a challenge and get some feedback, from peers. So those are good ones. I'm finding that a lot of the very very local groups are doing some good things. So the growth hubs in England, and there's similar stuff in other parts of Britain. I noticed they're offering a lot of very nice local stuff as well. So I'd sort of seek out your local growth hubs if they're offering anything. The Festival of Enterprise, which is an event, they're running some quite nice webinars, mostly educational stuff, but there's sort of a chat where you can connect. I mean, there's tons and tons of stuff. I'd recommend go on Eventbrite, is a good way to find them. Go on Eventbrite, put in your location, and it would serve you up so many different meetups. And obviously everything has gone online, so in theory you can attend a lot more things than you used to be able to.
Yeah, well, it's just having the time and the will to do it. I think there's lots of events that people I think you can just easily click accept now. It's just sticking to it and making sure you do attend.
There is event overload. So I think people, obviously everyone is now in the webinar online meetup space, hence Zoom's popularity. So you can go to too many events. So don't sign yourself up for hundreds. And then for the poor event organizers, you got to remember they're expecting you to attend. Not so much at the moment because there's not so much sort of money involved as it were in terms of paid for tickets and stuff, but don't get overloaded, and don't think that just because you've been to 4 meetups you've been amazingly productive, because if they brought you nothing, then you still need to work.
Right. And obviously you guys, you're speaking to small businesses every single day. What's the sentiment out there at the moment? How are they feeling?
It's tough out there. Yeah, it's tough. They're facing a lot of challenges. Obviously, everyone is trying to find support schemes that fit them, or there is a support scheme, trying to understand whether it fits them. But then again, we're also finding there is in the last sort of week or so, I think there is a movement towards thinking about the future and thinking about where do we go next. So we did a very snap sort of survey a week or so ago. We put a survey out there, and in about 24 hours we got 500 odd people responding, which again shows this demand at the moment to take part in things. And although I think it was 83% said they're still trying to find their COVID-19 support package, it was about 70 odd said they're thinking about planning for the future, learning new skills. And the biggest skills that businesses are looking for is sales and marketing. So there's a huge demand. So I think businesses, I'm not saying this is for everyone, because obviously for some they're just focused on their finances and surviving. But I think a significant proportion are looking towards, well, how do we get through this? What skills do I need to trade right now? How will it change my business in the future? And I think that's where sort of business support people fit in, trying to help people think, what do we do after this? And obviously with the government, there's a lot of talk around relaxing of lockdown and certain businesses when they can open. So, businesses have got to be thinking about that. If they're a physical business that needs, have social distancing in their shop or their office, that's got to be thought about. But I think there is businesses are thinking about, how do we get through this? How do I trade out of it and beyond it?
And obviously you've got a crystal ball, so
yes, obviously.
what do you think the future looks like, either for the events and kind of business support space, but also kind of more broadly in the kind of small business, micro business space?
I think we'll be okay. I think entrepreneurs, by nature are very resilient types, aren't they? And I think I'd like to think, as I said earlier, that this would lead to some positives. So in terms of the way we work, so maybe less travel, more using online tools. If you know, if businesses have used this time to learn new skills and come out of it the other side. You know, we're hearing a lot of stories around businesses that have had to pivot. So we spoke to a food delivery business recently who normally only supplies offices. Obviously, they lost all of their work. They've now switched to a home delivery service that they'd never considered doing. They said they're now going to run that as a service. You know, that's going to be a service they're going to run. It's beyond this. We spoke to a yoga teacher who obviously used to do physical training, now doing a lot of online stuff. She says she's going to just stick to doing online stuff beyond this. So I think if you can use this time to find new ways to communicate your products and services, and then that could be a way forward. So I think we're going to be okay. I think, obviously, unfortunately, some businesses aren't going to survive this, but I think lots of them are. And there is a lot of support out there, both financially and, you know, in terms of advice and connections. And so many people are willing to offer it for free right now. There's tons and tons and tons of ways you can, you know, get free help. And I've even seen initiatives like for employees that are on furlough, under the law, you are allowed to volunteer or work for another business. So there's several initiatives around, if you've got some skills, go and volunteer to help a startup out. So, you know, this is opportunities to get some skilled people in your business and prepare for the future.
Nice. All right. So just kind of, you know, wrapping this up, you know, I think what a lot of businesses are telling us is that they are missing that support network that they had before. If you could give kind of one kind of lasting piece of advice for someone who is, you know, struggling and having you know, not having the best of times of it, either from the business side or from a personal side, what would you say to them?
I'd just say try and seek out that network. Go to people like Enterprise Nation, like all the other business support groups. Use the tools that are out there. Make connections on social media. I know it sort of seems easy to people that maybe aren't used to doing that, but the community of small business is so up for supporting each other right now. You know, business groups that sort of have had rivalries in the past are like coming together to lobby the Chancellor on various different things and organising joint events. I've seen that happening all over the place. Even a lot of competitor corporates are sort of working together on this stuff. So I just put it out there, tweet at somebody like us or tweet at another business organisation and just say, I'm struggling, you know, I need some help. Is there anybody that, you know, you can connect me with that can help me? So don't be afraid to ask for it. But I'd also say, don't feel that you need to be this sort of super proactive home worker. You know, I think there's a lot of stuff out there about this is the time to learn new skills and, you know, sort of to watch new shows and read more books and learn new stuff. Don't feel that you have to be. Don't feel you have to be this like amazing, productive person at home. Just do what you need to do and, you know, contact people and ask for help.
Good advice. And you know, any customers looking to you know, to get in contact with you, what's the best routes to chat to you, Dan?
I'm a big tweeter, so if you want to send me a tweet, I'm on at Dan_Martin, and my website is danmartinuk.com. And obviously, I'm hanging out a lot on enterprisenation.com at the moment. So if you go to enterprisenation.com and there's if you click at the top, you can go to our coronavirus support hub. And we've actually got a live chat in there where you can ask any question you need about business support or anything right now. And it's mainly me that's responding to those. So that's another way you can contact me.
Great. Well, thanks very much. It's appreciated. As I said, your advice will go a long way to help a lot of businesses at the moment. So thanks very much for your time.
Thank you very much. It's been great.